aren't many video game journalists who are still writing for access media outlets like Kotaku, Polygon, and The Gamer, but because they are so loud and so obnoxious, it seems like their numbers are greater than they actually are. But they are constantly attacking gamers, attacking developers they don't agree with, and writing hit pieces on the industry when things do not go their way. And now Mike Drucker is saying this is a great time for games, so why does it feel so bad? I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, yes, I do partially agree that there are always amazing games releasing, whether they are indie and sometimes, yes, even AAA, but those games are few and far between compared to the piles of trash we get. Now, people like this are very mad that the Concords, the Highguards, the Flintlocks, the Dustborns, they do not do better. They support the narratives that are being pushed, and so they believe that these games deserve a bigger chance. When these titles fail, they say grievance grifters are the reason why these failed, and oh, it's the evil YouTubers and the chuds and the bigots killed these games. But if you look at titles like Highguard, for example, there were almost 100,000 people that gave that a shot, and the game lost those 100,000 people because it just sucked. It's not our fault that the game is bad. Why don't you start criticizing the companies that are pumping out slop for once in your lives? Maybe the video game industry would be a little bit better off for it. But as you can see, this is an article that is, yes, going to complain about mean old gamers. It starts by saying, I'm going to be really honest, I think video games are better now than they've ever been. That's not to say that every new game is better than the previous game, but I'm pretty sure the average quality of games you can buy is much, much, much better than even 15 years ago. I definitely pulled more fun out of a $5 indie horror game I got on Steam than I had done with a $40 copy of Solar Jetman on the NES in 1991. That's not really a fair comparison, but I don't care. Games are so good now. We are drowning in quality, and such a great time for games shouldn't feel this bad. Of course, there are a lot of reasons to feel bad now. I get that. The world, she is not good. Civil rights have become optional. I won't get into politics here because this is a site for video games, and also because I don't want my parents' address DM'd to me again by an anonymous weirdo. So right off the bat, you can tell he's trying to play the victim. And sure, it is not okay to find somebody's personal information and DM it to them and threaten them with it. Of course, that is not all right. But at the same time, you clearly put that in the very beginning of the article because you want a few victim points. Mike Drucker here also has in the past thought himself a little bit of a comedian. He's thought that, ooh, by mocking gamers, gamers are going to find that funny, which never happens. He infuriates people, and then he gets mad when people infuriate him in response. But getting into it, he says everything in gaming is too much of a gamble. A massive part of this is obviously the video game industry being in crisis. A lot of the independent developers creating my favorite games are stuck living in a metaphorical casino, an actual garage, where a hit could change their lives forever, and a flop could wipe them out their entire savings. The video game industry, and a lot of industries, have always been this way. Life is a risk, and you need to take chances. And sure, I do think that some of the best games we have gotten have been from developers who are relying on things to go their way, and the future of their lives could be make or break based off of this one decision. But what I think is so funny here is, again, he's bringing up this big problem that's happening in the industry without actually acknowledging the problem. People are sick and tired of, first of all, yes, political slop. Second of all, low effort slop. And third of all, just being straight up disrespected. If he actually understood why so many games are failing now, what people do and do not like in their entertainment, and he actually was on the side of gamers, well, maybe things would be going a little bit better for the gamer. His second point is we shouldn't be happy when things fail now. At the very end of this article, he talks about grievance grifters need to stop making this industry feel like it's an evil woke conspiracy, which is just so hilarious to me because I could say that he is a hope grifter, that he is a shill, that he wants everything to go successfully, everything to be amazing, and he is ignoring when things fail and the valid reasons why those things are failing. Sure, you can sit here and say I'm a little bit too negative, but you are far too positive and you are being paid to shill directly by these companies. Okay, this is why people don't trust you because you are a grifter just in another direction. Someone like Mike Drucker doesn't care about the video game industry. He just cares that he's making a paycheck from it. I personally have always loved video games. I've always played video games. I've talked about video games for many years at this point because I care about the industry being better, but I'm also a video game live streamer. If tomorrow everything was a 10 out of 10, I would still be doing half of what my content is now, which is talking about video games and showing video games off in a positive way. But that's not happening because companies are shit and you don't understand why. But it's because, again, you don't really understand the state of the video game industry and how we've gotten here. Again, yes, this is just the gamble of creative ventures. And boy, howdy, I can tell you that the television industry feels just as bad right now, if not worse. But I shouldn't feel guilty for not supporting a game, knowing that somehow a AAA company spent hundreds of millions on a live service boondoggle, but they can't afford to pay for someone to answer the phones. I shouldn't feel bad when a game fails, but I do because I know that rather than the company taking time to fix or learn from the experience or just get started on the next thing, a lot of people will lose their jobs first. And sure, it is sad that people lose their jobs, but people lose their jobs in every single industry. It's not just video games. And ultimately, when you are not servicing the customer and you are not making products that the customer wants, your product is going to fail. That's on the company and these developers for not making something better. It's not my requirement that I must support it because these poor people are going to lose their jobs. Then he says we don't need to be such downers. I think that this angle is just so hilarious and yet so pathetic because someone like me, for example, I sit on this channel and sure, I talk about problems happening in the industry. I advocate for consumers. I try to say what people like and don't like in their experiences. I also talk positively, but then you have people like at the gamer who just constantly attack and attack. They either attack games for not pushing the politics that they agree with, or they attack gamers for being happy that something they aren't excited for is succeeding, or making money, or is getting lots of pre-orders and wish lists. They only run defense for the things that support their point. Otherwise, they sit here and say, oh shit, you need to boycott it. Look at what happened with Hogwarts Legacy. For example, the media attacked it tooth and nail and said, you can't support this because I don't want you to, and I don't like J.K. Rowling. The boycott obviously failed. Have they ever come out and said, yeah, it actually was just a pretty good game? No, because they refuse to admit when they're wrong. They're completely out of touch. They say between videos about the actual features of a game, you have to wade through a swamp of YouTube videos about how a company killed a franchise by not giving the lead character the face and body of a Bratz doll. These people always try to have the last laugh. They call us bigots, racists, losers, grifters, incels. There's always some sort of personal insult that they go to, but yet they make themselves look ridiculous because why is it such a bad thing that men want to see pretty women in video games? Do you write hit pieces every time women are happy that they're seeing a sexy man in a video game? I don't see you melting down over the fact that women are losing their shit over Leon being a hot 50-year-old. Where are the hit pieces? That's right, because you're not going to come out and attack women because that would be against your narrative. But hey, you'll do it every time men go, wow, that's a sexy woman in a video game. Is it that big of a deal? No, the only people who are making it that big of a deal are you and your ilk, because you guys will sit here and write these hit pieces about gamers and how they're toxic, incel losers, and how they just want to objectify women. First of all, it's okay to objectify these characters because they're already objects. They're not actually real people. I know, shocking. But second of all, is it really that important that we want to see beauty in our entertainment? I don't expect a 600-pound blue-haired Landwell to be flying around as the next Superman. The same way, I don't expect Lara Croft to be wearing a size 45 pants and be making cringe feminist jokes. Yes, I don't think every single female character needs to be a 10 out of 10 bombshell, but I also don't see you guys running defense when a previously beautiful female is altered. Have you guys ran defense for gamers and actually sided with gamers when characters like Lara Croft are taken and twisted around and changed? No. But by your mentality, it's okay if new developers make a new character who is a modern woman, but it's also okay when they take an existing character and make her a modern woman. At least try to understand where we're coming from once, but they don't want to. And at the end of this article, he says, I'm saying that big companies need to stop making this industry feel like it's run by the Grim Reaper. gRiFtErS need to stop making this industry feel like it's an evil woke conspiracy. Okay, so you are sitting here and completely ignoring the companies in this industry who are taking established characters and stories and rewriting them for modern day sensibilities. You are saying censorship doesn't happen. You are saying that companies do not try to push a narrative that they think is more politically correct because they believe it's going to make them more money. Oh, that's right. He doesn't address any of this shit because he just wants to make a wildly inaccurate claim and then not be questioned for it. People like Mike Drucker do not like to have discussions about their opinions and try to find a middle ground with individuals they disagree with. No, if you are not with them, you are against them, and you are a disgusting, terrible person. Mike Drucker has blocked me for making 2 videos on his shit-ass articles before, and I've never had a conversation with him. But this is what happens because people like Mike Drucker don't want their feelings hurt and think that they are always correct, and you, as the paying customer, are always wrong. So yes, Mike Drucker and the gamer are putting out these articles saying this is a great time for games and you guys need to be more freaking positive, which is just hilarious because it shows how desperate they are getting for things to be rainbows and sunshine so they can keep their jobs. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.